Here are things you don't know about hamburgers. Hamburgers are a relatively new invention. Despite what you might think, the hamburger has only been around since the 19th century. Before that, people ate ground meat dishes, but not in the way we think of them today. The modern hamburger as we know it was invented in the 1890s when German immigrants in the U.S. began serving burgers in the New York City area. Legend has it that a chef at a popular restaurant made a sandwich with a beef patty to impress a customer who had just returned from a trip to Hamburg, Germany. And so the hamburger got its name. The first hamburger joint was called Louis Lunch. It opened in New Haven, Connecticut, in 1900. This tiny restaurant only had room for 4 stools at its counter, but its burgers were so delicious that customers would line up down the block to get one. For a while, hamburgers were considered an American food. However, the dish was quickly picked up by other countries and adapted to local cuisines. For example, in Japan, hamburgers are often topped with rice or noodles. In India, they may contain spices such as turmeric or cumin. And in Korea, kimchi burgers are a popular street food. The biggest hamburger ever recorded was cooked in New York in 2013. It was over 3,000 pounds and took 48 hours to cook. Can you imagine biting into a burger that weighs more than you do? The most expensive hamburger ever sold for $6,000. This burger was made with a massive 24-karat gold leaf on top. It was created by a famous chef in Las Vegas, and all proceeds went to a children's cancer foundation. While this burger is far from the best value meal, it certainly looked impressive. Some people believe that hamburgers are unhealthy and over-exaggerated. However, it wasn't until the 1950s that fast food restaurants began mass-producing burgers. Before then, hamburgers were generally seen as a special treat and not something that people ate on a daily basis. In fact, during World War II, hamburgers were rationed in the United States. This is because the government wanted to make sure that there was enough meat for soldiers overseas. As a result, civilians could only buy a limited amount of meat for their burgers. After the war, meat became more readily available, and hamburgers became a staple of the American diet. During the 1970s, vegetarianism began to grow in popularity. Some people believe that this led to the creation of the veggie burger. However, veggie burgers were actually invented much earlier. In 1885, a cookbook contained a recipe for a dish called vegetable patties. These patties were made with a mixture of vegetables and were served with a tomato and bread. While they may not have tasted like a burger, they were certainly a precursor to the veggie burger. Another myth is that the hamburger was responsible for the Great Depression. Some people believe that the popularity of the hamburger led to the decline of the U.S. economy. However, this is not true. The Great Depression was caused by a number of factors, including the stock market crash of 1929. Finally, the last thing you didn't know about hamburgers is that they are still evolving. Today, there are all sorts of different burgers to choose from. In addition to the classic beef burger, you can also get chicken burgers, fish burgers, and veggie burgers. There are also all sorts of toppings and condiments that can be added to burgers. This gives people a lot of flexibility when it comes to customizing their meals. Who knows what the future will bring? Maybe one day you'll be able to order a burger with unicorn meat. Okay, maybe not that, but anything else is possible. Now that you know all these interesting facts, it's time to take a quiz. How many did you already know? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more fun facts. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.